Imagine diving into the Mediterranean Sea and finding something that shouldn't be there. In the early 20th century, a group of Greek divers stumbled upon a strange object among the wreckage of an ancient ship. Soon, scientists realized they were looking at something incredible. Corrosion concealed the mechanism, but X-ray images revealed the details. It was a system of dozens of bronze gears arranged with the precision of a clockwork mechanism. But the most astonishing thing was that the mechanism could predict the movement of planets, solar and lunar eclipses. The ancient Greeks had created a true analog computer. Officially, the device is dated to over 2,000 years ago. The question is, how could such complex technologies exist at that time? Similar mechanisms appeared in Europe only in the 18th century. So, who created this artifact? Perhaps we don't know everything about ancient civilizations. And if this mechanism was found underwater, what else might be hidden in the ground? Sometimes, archaeologists find items that change history itself. Ancient graves sometimes hold shocking discoveries. All over the world, from South America to Egypt, skulls of strange shapes are found. They are elongated upwards, as if they belong to beings with a different anatomy. Some scientists say that this is the work of humans themselves. In ancient times, there were traditions of altering the shape of the skull. Infants' heads were bound to give them an elongated appearance. But here's what's strange. Among the found skulls, there are some with a brain volume larger than usual. Anatomically, they differ from human skulls. The most famous skulls were found in Peru, in the city of Paracas. They are over 3,000 years old. Genetic analysis showed that their DNA is different from that of ordinary humans. Where did these beings come from? And were they even human at all? Some believe these are traces of ancient civilizations about which we know nothing. Or perhaps, confirmation of old legends about gods descending from the sky. What if electricity was known long before its official discovery? In the 1930s, archaeologists in Baghdad unearthed an ancient vessel. Inside it was a copper cylinder and an iron rod. By replicating this construction, scientists obtained a weak electric charge. This artifact is over 2,000 years old. Modern science believes that ancient civilizations could not have known about batteries. But if that's the case, then what was the purpose of this vessel? There is a hypothesis that it was used for electroplating. Perhaps ancient craftsmen used electric current to coat metals with a thin layer of gold. Or maybe this technology had a different purpose. For example, it might have been used in ritual practices. But then the question arises, if sources of electricity existed 2,000 years ago, what other technologies might have been lost over time? There are things that do not fit into the scientific picture of the world. In Texas, in the bed of the Paluxy River, fossilized dinosaur tracks were found. This in itself is not surprising. But next to them, archaeologists discovered prints resembling human footprints. According to official science, humans and dinosaurs lived in different eras. They are separated by tens of millions of years. So how can this find be explained? Some scientists say that these are simply unusual dinosaur tracks that resemble human ones. Others believe that it is a forgery. But there are also those who are convinced that the history of humanity is much more complex than we think. These tracks are not the only evidence. All over the world, ancient depictions are found where people are drawn next to dinosaurs. If this is true, then who left these tracks? An ordinary hammer, but the age of the stone in which it was found is measured in hundreds of millions of years. This find was made in Texas in the 19th century. The stone in which the hammer was found belongs to ancient geological layers. The tool itself is covered with a petrified shell, and its handle has partially turned into coal. The metal of the hammer turned out to be unusual. Its composition is too pure for the primitive technologies of ancient civilizations. Official science claims that humans simply did not exist millions of years ago. So how can this artifact be explained? Some suggest that the hammer is a forgery that accidentally ended up in ancient layers. Others say that we are looking at traces of a long-lost civilization. Could this be evidence of the existence of those we call the gods of antiquity? How can one draw a map of a place that hasn't been officially discovered? In the early 16th century, Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis created a map that baffled scientists. It depicts the shores of Antarctica, a continent that would only be discovered hundreds of years later. But that's not the strangest part. The coastline on the map is shown without ice. Today, Antarctica is hidden under a thick layer of ice, but research has shown that the last time it was ice-free was over 5,000 years ago. How could Anauropyri Rees have known about a continent that didn't exist on the maps of his contemporaries? Where did he get such accurate information? He himself claimed that he used more ancient sources, who then made the first maps of the world. And how much more knowledge has been lost. In South Africa, miners extracted strange artifacts from the depths of the earth. Perfectly round stone spheres with perfectly even grooves. They were found in rock layers that are over 2 billion years old. What is an object of perfect shape doing in such ancient layers? Some believe that this is simply a natural formation, while others are convinced it's evidence of an ancient civilization that knew the secrets of stone processing. Even more strangely, the center of gravity of some of the spheres was found to be shifted to one side of the object, as if they were deliberately balanced. If ancient people did not create them, then who or what could have left such traces in history? Sometimes in archaeological excavations, something is found that seems like technology from the future. In ancient burials in South America, miniature gold figurines were found that resemble modern airplanes in shape. They have wings, a vertical stabilizer, and even elements that look like engines. Researchers made exact replicas of these models and conducted tests. They can actually fly. If it's just decoration, why do they look so much like flying machines? Could it be that ancient civilizations knew more about flight than we think? If so, where are their technologies now? One of the most mysterious artifacts in history is a long piece of cloth with the silhouette of a man imprinted on it. The Shroud of Turin is considered a relic that might have covered the body of Jesus Christ. Scientists have long debated its authenticity. Radiocarbon analysis showed that the shroud is no more than 1,000 years old. But new research suggests that the analysis might have been flawed due to contamination. The most important question: how exactly did the image appear on the fabric? It is not painted, not burned, not woven. It seems to be imprinted by an unknown method. If it is a forgery, then who could have created it in those times? If not, then what exactly did this fabric capture? In the 1940s, a Mexican researcher found more than 30,000 ceramic figurines. Some of them depict people standing next to dinosaurs. According to the official version of science, dinosaurs became extinct tens of millions of years ago, long before the appearance of humans. So how could ancient craftsmen know what they looked like? Skeptics claim that these figurines are forgeries. But the problem is that there are too many of them, and they were found underground, several feet deep. Does this mean that people once actually lived side by side with dinosaurs? If so, who left this knowledge and how could it have been preserved? In ancient ruins around the world, metals are found whose origins remain a mystery. One of the strangest cases occurred in China. In a tomb over 1,500 years old, archaeologists discovered a belt buckle made of aluminum. The problem is that aluminum was only learned to be produced in the 19th century. Before that, it was not found in its pure form because its production requires a complex technological process. Another case occurred in Romania, where workers stumbled upon a metal object that turned out to be part of a complex mechanism. But the age of the layer in which it was found exceeded 400,000 years. Where did these metals come from? Were ancient technological knowledge lost, or did someone help our ancestors? In the 1990s, in Russia, tiny screw-like objects were found during gold mining. They were so small that they could only be seen under a microscope. Research showed that these spirals were made of tungsten and molybdenum, materials used in the aerospace and aviation industries. But the strangest thing is the age of the findings. They were found in layers of the earth that are over 100,000 years old. Who could have created such complex miniature details at that time? Official science does not provide explanations. Some believe these are traces of ancient, highly developed civilizations, while others suggest they are remnants of alien technologies. But, if this is true, how many more such artifacts are waiting for their time underground? Ancient cities hidden underwater make us reconsider the chronology of history. Near the shores of India, ruins were found on the seafloor that are over 9,000 years old. Officially, developed civilizations did not exist at that time. But underwater research shows remnants of streets, walls, and even temples. An even more mysterious place is off the coast of Japan. There, underwater, lies a strange step structure resembling a pyramid. Some believe it is a natural formation, but the lines and shapes are too precise to dismiss. If cities were submerged in ancient times, it means that global catastrophes were occurring then. And if so, how many more forgotten civilizations remain hidden beneath the waves? In Peru, among the rocks, there is a strange stone door carved out. It is perfectly smooth, but leads to nowhere. Local legends say that it is an ancient portal through which priests would pass. According to the legend, one of them inserted a golden disc into the hole in the center of the door, after which it opened. And he disappeared. Archaeologists claim that this door was never used for its intended purpose. But then why did ancient craftsmen spend their efforts creating it? It seems that many cultures had legends about gates to other worlds. Perhaps we are looking at a mechanism of ancient technology that has been lost. Some texts remain a mystery even after centuries of research. For example, the Voynich manuscript, a book written in an unknown language. Throughout history, it has never been deciphered. Moreover, it contains illustrations of plants that do not exist on Earth. Another mystery. Discs from China, known as the Dropa stones. They were found in caves along with the remains of beings with disproportionately large heads. The inscriptions on the stones tell of a tribe that came from the sky. These artifacts pose questions for us that remain unanswered. Who created them? What do they say? And most importantly, how many more such mysteries are hidden in archives and underground? Imagine archaeologists of the distant future excavating the ruins of our civilization. What artifacts will they find? And will they be able to understand how we lived? Metal rusts, plastic decomposes, paper turns to dust. Computers, servers, and hard drives, the keepers of all our information, will disappear in just a few centuries. Without them, future researchers will know almost nothing about us. But what will remain? Perhaps pieces of concrete, stone structures, ceramics, coins, and jewelry made of gold and silver. Maybe future archaeologists will find giant empty cities and decide that we worship glass towers because they won't be able to understand their true purpose. And if we misinterpret the findings of antiquity, won't the future make the same mistake with us? Ancient people left us artifacts that they used in everyday life. Clay pots, arrowheads, cult objects. What will become our clay pots? Perhaps pieces of smartphones, which once were our windows to the world. But without electricity and the network, they will just be incomprehensible objects. Future scientists will find plastic cards, but how will they understand that this is money? Or, for example, our synthetic fabrics, they might last for thousands of years. Perhaps future archaeologists will debate whether superhero costumes were ritual garments. What is commonplace for us may become the main mystery of civilization in the future. Can we learn about the future by studying the past? It turns out yes. Archaeology is not just the study of ancient ruins, it is a science that helps build the future. For example, the study of ancient civilizations shows how climate change affected people. Cities disappeared due to droughts, floods, and soil depletion. This knowledge helps us predict and prevent disasters. Archaeologists also discover lost technologies. For example, Roman concrete, which is stronger than modern concrete, or ancient methods of food preservation that are more effective than chemical preservatives. The more we learn about the past, the better we can prepare for the future. What if, thousands of years from now, archaeologists find huge cities covered in sand and overgrown with jungles? How will they explain their disappearance? Perhaps they will conclude that humanity went extinct suddenly, like past civilizations. Or, on the contrary, that we relocated to space, leaving the Earth uninhabited. After all, there are already places that look as if we have abandoned them. Ghost towns, abandoned buildings, empty metropolises. If they were discovered thousands of years later, what would scientists think? We are accustomed to thinking that our civilization is eternal. But everything in history repeats itself. How many mysteries are still hidden underground? Every year, archaeologists find something that overturns our understanding of the past. But the most interesting question is, how much is still undiscovered? For example, many legendary cities have yet to be found. Where is Atlantis lost? Where is the tomb located, Genghis Khan's? And how many unknown civilizations existed before us? Archaeology has already proven that we know far from everything about the past. And what if one day we find something that makes us reconsider all of history?